I want you to start identifying your own triggers and patterns. So I get this part isn't easy. It's like digging through an old attic, finding things you forgot existed. But trust me on this, even at a surface level, if you can understand it, it is a game changer. Hey there, and welcome back to Couch Time with Amy Wine. That's me, your host. And if it's your first time here, kind of pull up a seat or just keep walking if that's what you're doing, driving down the road, but let's dive in. Around here, we get real talk, real life. And we're going to talk about life's ups and downs. I don't do sugarcoating, no endless pep talks. It's just you, me, and the raw truths of navigating this crazy world that we're in today. Today, on this podcast, we're going to tackle a beast that we have all faced. It is those nagging negative thoughts that cloud our days and keep us up at night. You know the ones I'm talking about. They have you questioning your worth. They have you replaying mistakes or even fearing for the future. Think back to the new year, like when everybody's getting all their new shiny New Year's resolutions, we're all setting our goals, and then we hit, March, and we're like, we haven't even started on those goals, or we've already quit on them. And then we wallow in it and we beat ourselves up and tell ourselves all kinds of negative things about them. Do you know what I'm talking about? Because I do. I just had to do a massive reset on March 1st. Actually, it wasn't even March 1st, it was March 4th. I could do this anytime during the year. I do it quarterly because I find that life happens and things get in the way. And all of those plans that I made and those goals that I set are first stop for my self-worth to plummet, for my negativeness to plummet. And then I just sit there and beat myself up for all the things that I did not do well. Some of them I might have done really good at, but if they're not first and foremost in my mind, they're probably not getting done. And New Year's resolutions, January goals have a way of just being sitting there on the desk with you. We're going to take that wallowing of that space in your head, and we're going to take those thoughts head on today, but in a way that it's just the tip of the iceberg, because I want to be really honest and really real. The real transformation that happens when you're ready to dive deep to the challenge, the roots of those patterns. So all of the things that I do and that most people do with New Year's resolutions, I don't even believe in writing them anymore because it's just a recipe for failure. But all those goals and all the things that I do, we're just using this as an example of a negative thought. It could be anything. But until I get to the root of why that is, why those patterns exist, all we're doing is kind of trimming the leaves, right? So I've created a course called The Awaken Me, A Journey to Finding You, which is all about doing that deep dive. But I'm not going into sales mode here. I'm just letting you know there is more to it, but I am definitely, I like to give actionable, tangible things you can do right now for real change. So we're going to set the stage for that real change right now in this chat, you and me together. Are you ready? If you're tired of the same old cycles, repeating the same mistakes over and over again, you're tired of feeling stuck in your head, you're definitely in the right spot. Let's kick those negative thoughts to the curb once and for all. First, what we got to do is understand your negative thought patterns. And when we're going to understand them, let's get down to the nitty gritty, because we are peeking into the world of those pesky thoughts in your head. You know the ones I'm talking about. They're the ones that are the same thoughts over and over and over again. They creep up on you kind of like an uninvited guest at your taco dinner party. Don't mess with my tacos. If you've been with me any period of time, you know you don't mess with my tacos. They mess with your mind, your mood, and heck, even your business. Now, I'm not going to give you a lecture here straight out of the gate or a psychology textbook. We're here to talk about this like two friends grabbing a cup of coffee together. Imagine this. You're sitting across from me right now. Your coffee's steaming. I've got my hot tea. And you lean in as we chat about the thing called negative thought patterns. These are those thoughts that you tell yourself you're not good enough, that your efforts don't matter, or you're bound to fail. Sound familiar? They're like those old records that keep playing the same tune over and over again until you think that's the only song that exists. But guess what? It's not. Let's get real for a second because I've been there. Looking back at my own journey, juggling life, relationships, businesses, it's easy to fall into the trap of thinking you're doing it all wrong, or you're not worthy, or you're alone in this, or you're not good enough to go as far as your dreams want to take you. But those are just thoughts. They're not facts. They're just freaking thoughts, not facts. Annoying, yes, but not the end of the story. So why do we even talk about this if we know that? Because acknowledging these patterns is your first step to changing them. It's like turning your light on in the dark room. Suddenly, you see what's been tripping you up all this time. That's what we dive into. We don't just switch on the light. We clean up the freaking room. You can tell I'm more passionate about this than I am a lot of things. And this is why I do the Awaken Me course, because I do not want anybody to go through a season in life where they feel alone, their spouse doesn't know them anymore, they don't even know who they are anymore in this season of life, and they feel lost and unsure of themselves and unworthy. There is no more of that going on because this can be changed quickly too. So let's take your journey one step at a time. You've acknowledged it. Now I know what you're thinking. But Amy, these thoughts feel so real. My feelings and emotions have validity. They feel real to me. And I hear you. They do feel real. But here's the kicker. Just because something feels real doesn't mean it is. Our brains are tricky little machines, and sometimes they need a bit of reprogramming. So as we move forward today, think about those thoughts that have been holding you back, not to dwell on them, no, but to start understanding that they're just one part of your story. They are not the whole story. You with me? Stick around because we're about to dive going deeper. You ready? Into how we can start to shift these patterns, not with our magic wands or overnight miracles, but with real practical steps that lead to big changes, the kinds we want to explore further. But for now, I want to give you permission right now for you to know that you are in charge of the playlist of your life. You, even when you feel out of control and unsure about it. We just need to turn and reframe your thoughts and turn them into different songs, right? These negative thought patterns are sneaky. You could be going down the road and for instance, I'm going to tell you a story. I was driving to work one day and I was a perfectly fine mood. I literally live 4 miles from where the counseling center was when I had it. It'd take me 5 minutes to get there. And I'm driving down the road and there's 4 lanes, right? 2 on each side. And a squirrel runs out in front of me. And I swerved to miss the squirrel. Luckily, there was no other cars, but I swerved to miss the squirrel. And I hear this ka-thump, ka-thump. And I was like, oh my gosh, I hit the squirrel. And I look in my rear view mirror and in the back, I see the squirrel going, you know, if you're on audio, you can't see me going, but his like head was shaking a little bit and his body. And I was like, oh my gosh, what do I do? Like, and I just kept driving because what do you do? I don't want to go get rabies from the squirrel or get bit from the squirrel. I don't know where to take the squirrel. Pretty sure he's on a one-way track to dying right now. And immediately, I'm literally 1 minute from work, you all. I go to the next light, I turn left, and I'm at my office. 1 minute or less. And by the time I got there and I pulled in, you're so stupid, you can't even swerve right and miss the squirrel. You're a squirrel killer. You can't even drive right. Like, who does that? How stupid are you? These are the thoughts that I had in my head as I pulled in to the counseling center. I went from a perfectly good day to beating myself up about something that was honestly kind of out of my control. That is how fast it can happen and shift your whole mood. But I also knew to acknowledge them, reframe it. It was out of my control. I did try to swerve. I didn't purposely swerve bad. I didn't know where the squirrel was going. I couldn't see under my car, right? Like that is not my fault. I could reframe it, right? That's what I'm talking about here. So let's go a little deeper, a little bit more personal. I want you to start identifying your own triggers and patterns. I get this part isn't easy. It's like digging through an old attic, finding things you forgot existed. But trust me on this, even at a surface level, if you can understand it, it is a game changer. We're keeping our coffee shop vibe going. We're sitting across from each other, sipping our little drinks, right? We have the aroma of fresh coffee in the air. Maybe we got a little snack. And I don't know about you, at my little coffee shop, they have gluten-free peanut butter cookies that are the bomb. But I lean in and I ask you this question. When do these negative thoughts hit you the most? Think about that for a second. When do they hit you the most? So my squirrel story hit me pretty quick. That's kind of an unplanned one, but that's something to know. I can get negative thoughts in a snap. But when do they hit me the most? When I'm tired, when I'm hungry, or maybe it's during the quiet moments when you're trying to sleep, or even in the middle of a busy workday. I notice, though, a pattern for me, or times my biggest one is when I am overwhelmed with work and home life. There was one evening where I was trying to prepare dinner, answer emails, and help with the homework all at once. And there it was in my mind, you can't handle this. But here's where the light bulb went off. I asked myself, is that true? And guess what? It wasn't. I was handling it. It was just in a chaotic way. That moment of questioning was a tiny step forward in me changing my thought patterns. Now, your triggers might be different. They could be tied to past experiences, fears about the future, or even your day-to-day stresses. Recognizing them doesn't solve everything overnight, but it's like putting the name to a shadow. Suddenly, it's a little less intimidating. You get to change everything like this. If you want to dive deeper, you're going to join me in Awaken Me for 8 weeks, and I will walk you through it, and you can have a Q&A with me, and we'll get to the root of all of this. But if you take nothing but this today, you could start to make these changes yourself. And when you start to learn how to reshape your thoughts and reframe them, you reshape your responses. So my automatic responses to being a squirrel killer is not the same as it was then. I probably would not go there as negative as I did, because now I know to recognize it. I know to reframe it. But for now, consider this. What if you could recognize these moments and say, wait a minute, I see what's happening here, just like I did. Imagine having the tools to not only recognize, but reframe and reroute your thoughts. We're talking real strategies, not just feel-good quotes you find on the internet. That's not what we're aiming for. So take a moment today, think about your triggers, jot them down if you can. Writing them down helps create change because there's power in writing things down. It moves thoughts from abstract to the concrete. And remember, it isn't about self-criticism. It's about self-awareness. There's a big difference there. You're doing a bit of detective work on yourself, but instead of solving the crime, you're unlocking your future potential. This is the difference between a high-achieving person and an elite performer. You're going to see old habits die hard and fast. And you can just start saying right now, I am paving a new path for my thoughts. I am getting rid of the old and in with the new. So how do we even start shifting these patterns? Bit by bit. It's about progress, not perfection. You're not on this journey alone. I'm right here with you. And together, we are moving towards a place of understanding and ultimately transformation. So what are some strategies for reframing these negative thoughts? Okay, we've talked about those negative thoughts and how to spot your personal triggers. Now we're going to start shifting gears. We're going to start changing your game, reframing those negative thoughts. But remember, we're in our cozy coffee shop, just you and me, just sitting here. Our cups are warm in our hands. And now I'm going to lean in and say, how do we start turning these thoughts around? So we're going to unpack right now. But first off, let's get something straight. Reframing doesn't mean slapping a happy sticker on every problem. Nope. It's about viewing the same picture from a different angle. It's about finding a new perspective, not faking positivity. That is toxic positivity. And we'll do an episode on that in a few weeks. So here's a simple start. Next time a negative thought pops in your head, ask yourself this. Is this really true? Or you could say, is there another way to look at this? Just these questions can pause the negative spiral and open a door to a new viewpoint. So let's say your mind is telling you, I am terrible at this. You can ask, pause, stop, ask, am I really terrible or am I just learning? You see the shift? You're not denying the struggle. You're acknowledging your growth. And that, my friends, is where the power is. But here's the deal. You've got to stop, pause, and ask the questions, right? Because this is how you can reshape your life and mold it into one you want to wake up to every day. And I know you may be thinking, Amy, this all sounds great, but it's easier said than done. And you're right. Changing thought patterns that have been years in the making is not an overnight thing. But remember, every big journey starts with one single micro baby step. I follow them small steps often. This is your life, yourself, your marriage, your parenting, whatever it is you want to change. We don't start with the big grand gestures. We start with a baby step. And then we add the next one and the next one. And then you have momentum and change. You have to also acknowledge the need for the change. Every positive thought you choose, think of it this way, is a seed you plant. Over time, with care and attention, those seeds grow into a garden. Yeah, weeds are going to pop in, pesky weeds, but out with the old negative thoughts. We're going to pull those weeds right out. And with practice, you're going to get better at pulling the weeds out and nurturing the good stuff. We're not going to nurture the negative thoughts anymore. And oh my, the places you're going to go, friends, because this isn't just about battling negative thoughts. It's about building the mindset that supports your dreams, your relationships, your well being. That is what I'm aiming for here. Something that's real, sustainable, change that lifts every area of your life up. You change this, you change your marriage, you change your business. You change everything for the better. So what do you say? Are you ready to give those old thoughts a new twist? Start seeing new challenges as opportunities and failures as lessons. Are you ready for that? Because that is where the real magic happens in that shift. And as we wrap up, I want you to remember this. You're not alone. I'm here with you every step of the way. If you are craving more depth, more strategies, more connection, you could join me here anytime. If you want to go different and find out exactly who you are in this season of life and who God says you are, then I'm waiting for you. awakenmejourney.com, and we will dive deeper, climb higher, and start thriving, not just start surviving. We will do it lockstep together. So until next week, thank you for opening your mind and your heart. And remember, the path to change starts with just a single step. And who knows, that step might lead you to Awaken Me, or maybe it just leads you to next week's podcast. But until then, keep those coffee cups or teacups and your hearts open. Here's to turning those thoughts around and creating a life with joy, purpose, and yes, go get a side of tacos. But you've got this because I believe